Hello and welcome to Management 401. My name is Cody Quast and I will be your instructor for the next 5 weeks. I am excited to teach this course. I think you're going to find it really interesting and you will learn a lot about leadership. Leadership is something that is very important and applies to every job, but some jobs can require leadership to be a little bit different. So as we're going through the course, you will see that mine kind of comes from the business perspective because I am a supervisory auditor. I'm basically an accountant. But we'll have students in here from all walks of life and different degrees, so I look forward to hearing from each of you and your different perspectives on leadership. So each week we will have a lecture video that you will need to watch and then give us a response on. So I want to go over a quick overview of what is due this week and just make sure that everybody's kind of familiar with Canvas. I'm sure you all are, but if you're not, it's a good refresher. I've had some students that have appreciated that in the past. So you'll see here on the left are all of your links. Right here, I'm on the home page essentially. As you scroll down, you'll see week 1. So week 1, this is going to list everything that is due. Week 2, everything that is due. Week 3, and so on. So as you go through this, you're going to see a few things. So you're going to have your discussion question. I've gone into the discussion question. There's a video that you need to watch and some questions that you need to answer. You also need to give us a quick intro about yourself. Say, hi, my name is so-and-so. And this is what I like, these are my hobbies, this is what I want out of class, things like that. I posted mine on there. Mine's a little bit longer, but I don't expect yours to be that long. I just wanted you guys to see what my background is, kind of give some credibility to who I am, and also let you know a little bit about myself. So go in, get your initial discussion posts done. Those need to be done by Wednesday of every week, and then you need to respond to do it 2 additional posts by Sunday of each week, except for on the last week, when the initial will be due on Wednesday and the final will be due on Friday. Then you're going to go in, there's going to be the lecture response, which you're listening to right now. You need to go in and do your response on there. As you can see, it needs to be around 150 words. I'm not going to sit there and count everything and say, oh, you only have 149 words. Just try to make it at least 150 words if you can, though. That's generally not that hard to do. And then post that, and you'll get your grades for that. Then you're going to have a couple of assignments. So I wanted to open these up actually, and we will go over them quick. So your assignment here, you will see you need to go in and you need to look at pages 3 and 4 and answer, pages 103 and 104 for this leadership case problem B, and then answer the questions on there. As it says, we're primarily interested in seeing that you're understanding the material and applying it in a real world situation. It's not like a multiple choice test where you have A, B, C, and D, and B is the right answer. We want to see kind of some analytical thinking, some actual application of the concepts, and that's what you're going to be getting graded on. On here, format, APA format, that's not necessarily going to be like you're writing a paper, because you're going to have question 1, 2, 3, and so forth, and you're going to need to format that though, but try to make that as formatted as close as you can, just so it's easier for you to write, but also for us to follow. And then you're going to have your self-evaluations. I think you'll enjoy these. So it gives you in here your 2 self-assessments, that you need to take. The first one's on page 11 and 12, and the second one is on page 39. So go through, document your score from the quiz, and a paragraph analyzing your results. So in the paragraph, you need to answer the questions that are there, if you think it's accurate, what the results mean to you, and what changes you want to make and why or why not. And this needs to be 1 to 2 pages as well. And then you'll basically get graded on that. And again, this is taking the quiz and then kind of applying your thoughts, your concepts to that at the end. Okay, so let's go back here, and then you will have a final project for this class. The final project is going to be a paper that you need to write. I would suggest you look at that now and kind of start writing it as you go. It's going to build off of each week. So as you go through and you look at that, and we'll open it here. As you go through and you're going to look at that, you're kind of going to summarize things that you learn every week. So it's listed in week 1, the instructions are, but they're also listed in week 5. So you're going to go through and analyze the qualities and attributes of a person that you find to be a leader. You can pick any leader you want. We gave you some examples here of President Washington, President Roosevelt, General Patton, Dr. Martin Luther King, Napoleon, President Lincoln. It can even be a current day leader if you want, and it can be a current political leader, but as it says, if you pick one, focus on the leadership qualities and don't make it a political discussion. That's not what we're going for. We're trying to figure out what you think about their leadership style. It needs to be, at least 2 to 3 pages on there, as you can see right here where it says it should be 2 to 3 pages, and then you need to answer questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. So, although you have questions in there, we don't want a number 1, a period, and then your answer. Number 2, a period, and your answer. It needs to be written in paper format. And then you also need to go through here and look at your references. There needs to be 2 to 3 references on there. Or, excuse me, 1 reference from the book and then 2 additional ones for a total of 3. So it needs to be at least a few pages, and then in APA format. If you have any questions about the homework or anything, by all means, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me and call me. My office hours are by appointment. I generally try to answer emails every night when I get home from work or phone calls. So I will get back to you as quick as I can. So now I just want to touch a little bit on what you're going to be covering this week. So there's a few chapters that we're going to be going over, 1, 2, and 3, and you can find all of these PowerPoint slides I'm going to go over here as well in the reading and lectures. So let's look at chapter 1 here. And again, I just briefly wanted to touch a couple of things on here. In each of these, you're going to have your learning objectives at the front. And that's kind of your what's in it for me, what am I going to get out of it. So as you go through, you're going to learn about leadership and how it differs from management, how leadership influences organizational performance, different things like that. But I wanted to touch on a couple of slides specifically in this chapter, and they are leaderships versus relationships. So I really like this slide as I was going through it. It talks about how things have changed in an electronic age. So in here it says, it's common practice for leaders to give recognition to praise to their employees through email or posting it on social media or the company's website, different things like that. And I've seen companies that I've audited where they'll have their Employee of the Month program and they'll put it on the website. And, that might not necessarily be kind of a monetary award that some employees like, but also those employees, you can see how that makes them feel, how they interact, how they kind of light up to be like, hey, look at what I did. Here's my name. I've made a huge contribution to my company. So in the past, we've probably all walked into, the one example that I think of is restaurants. You walk in and you'll see Employee of the Month, and they'll have their name engraven on a plaque and put up there, and it'll have January, February, and March. Kind of the same concept, it's just in an electronic age now. If you're working for a small company, it might be on the company's website or things like that. Again, that is a big motivation tactic for a company to use and for a leader to use specifically. But one of the key things here at the end says that the late Steve Jobs, who formed Apple, emphasized that leaders need to focus on still communicating with their employees, not necessarily just use technology. Yes, technology is a great thing and can be used in a lot of useful ways, but just to get recognition through technology isn't a good thing. You need to still have that human interaction, that human element. You need to have that face-to-face contact. That goes a long ways. When I'm managing the people that work for me, I can tell them good job over email, but if I walk over and just, shake their hand and say, hey, I appreciate everything that you've done, they're going to be able to see that I am sincere. There's going to be a lot of the human element that comes through that they might not necessarily get through an email or through an instant message or things like that. So as you go through those slides, I think that's going to give you some good information, some things to talk about. And then let's look at Chapter 2 as well. Chapter 2 had a couple of really good things. Again, here's your learning objectives in here. So you're going to identify task-related traits and how they affect or how they contribute to leadership. So when I was going through and I was looking at this, I was trying to think of a good way to explain traits to everybody. So you have your personality traits and then the personality traits of an effective leader. So there's a couple of different traits. So you've got personality traits and task-related traits. So as you can see here, it says general personality traits are traits that are observable both within and outside the context of work. So these, when you think of a personality trait, think of this is a trait that makes you up no matter what your situation is. This is kind of almost like something you believe in. It's part of your core values or what makes you up. So that's why it says here that you can see in both your work and your personal life. But then you also have task-related traits. And these are traits that are associated generally with just the task that you are working on. And this next slide here gives some great personality traits. So a person that is self-confident, I'm not talking about necessarily cocky, but just really believes in themselves, that generally is visible inside of work and outside of work. I have some people that I really admire, and they just carry themselves in a different way, not just at work, but also at home, with interaction with friends, different things outside of there. Humility. I was going through and I was thinking about this. I can't think of a person that is humble at work and then cocky outside of work, or vice versa. Generally, humility is a trait that somebody carries throughout their life. Another one, extroversion. Somebody that's extroverted is generally extroverted inside of work and outside of work. Assertive and a go-getter, that's kind of something that you're going to carry. You might ramp some of your extroversion or your assertiveness. You might ramp that up a little bit of work, but you still are going to have that personality to an extent outside of work. A big one, sense of humor. I really like humor in the workplace. I think it livens things up, and I think that is a good trait for people to have. So you're generally going to see that in both work and real life or outside of work situations. Your next one is your task-related personalities. So a proactive personality. So kind of more of a, okay, I've got a deadline, I've got to meet this. A passion for work and people. That is something, I think that might kind of be a trait to an extent, but also I know a lot of people that can really kind of just hone in on that specific task and really lead that certain group. You're also going to have your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, self-management. And this, I think, really relates to a task, because when we get an audit at work, we generally have a certain amount of weeks or months to get it done. So you've got to really be self-aware and be able to manage your time, to be able to say, hey, I need to get this section done, this section done, this section done. I think it's the same way if you are a nurse for a doctor's office. Hey, I have an appointment at 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, and so on. I need to be sure to be able to help keep the doctors on task. That can apply to an MA or a CNA. It doesn't matter what your job is, you need to have that time management, that self-awareness, that self-management to be able to push through those certain things. Relationship management, that also is key, because if you are leading a group, as we're talking about in this class based on leadership, you need to be able to make sure that you can lead a group of people and make sure that they're getting their tasks done in order and on time to reach your end goal. You also need to be flexible and adaptable. There's certain things that you might have, like a personality trait, say, hey, I believe in this no matter what. But when it comes to a task related, you might need to be a little bit more flexible to not force your beliefs or your management skills on somebody. You need to be able to adapt to that task and that person, and then courage to push through what is due. And then I want to go over a few of the slides here in Chapter 3, which does build off of Chapter 2. Let me pull that up here. Again, so you're going to have your learning objectives here. So we're building on traits again. So we're going to talk about the traits and behaviors of charismatic leaders. Hopefully everybody has had that leader in their life, that boss, somebody outside, if it's a church group or a friend, whoever it is, somebody that you have followed and helped who's just been charismatic, because those people are contagious. I have a certain person that I worked for. She was my first long-term boss that I had in my current job. And she was just charismatic, open, just kind of a go-getter, but also fun at the same time. And I try to tailor my leadership skills a lot after hers. So you'll go through here and just going to talk about what a charismatic leader is, how you can develop that in certain things. And before we run out of time here, I wanted to go over a few things here. So effects of charismatic leaders. So they're happier, they have increased productivity and reduced stress. You're generally going to trust that leader's beliefs. They have heightened goals. Charismatic people, if you've met a charismatic person, you know that they're not going to be people that are going to aim low. They're going to aim high. They want to do the best, and they want to do it really, really well. So here on this last side, you're going to have, on the last slide that I will cover, there's types of charismatic leaders. Some socialized ones, so they don't use power in the interest of others. I really like that. A charismatic leader is more of a, hey, let me get you to follow me, not let me force you to follow me. Again, that goes to the next one there where it says personalized ones. They never use power. So hopefully you have been able to get something out of these slides. That's going to give you some information to build on and things to answer. We're about out of time here, but if you have any questions about the course, by all means, please feel free to let me know and reach out to me. And again, I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you.